Person at the jail, what is your name?
Justin Massarcheck.
This is case number 223513OD, the people of the city of Cadillac versus Justin Massarcheck. Did I say that?
Yes, sir. Yes, Your Honor.
All right. Thank you. Sir, what is a good mailing address for you?
103 East Pine, Cadillac, Michigan, 49601.
And do you have a good telephone number?
269-312-0872.
Do you have an email address?
My first and last name at gmail.com.
Sir, I have a probation violation that alleges that you tested positive for alcohol on or around July 19th of 2023 with a BAC of a 0.016% as reported by the Michigan State Police, that you failed a test on July 24th, 2023, July 25th, 2023, and July 26th, 2023. Additionally, you failed to comply with testing requirements by not checking in and failed to report as directed on July 25th, 2023, and that you failed to provide verification of counseling completion. And also previously, it looks like there were 3 prior technical violations. If you are found guilty of these violations, sir, you could be sentenced to what you could have been sentenced to under the original plea of operating while visibly impaired, which is a 93-day misdemeanor or 93 days in jail. Do you understand that?
Yes, Your Honor.
You do have the right to have a contested hearing where the prosecution must prove the allegations against you. And you also have the right to be represented by an attorney. So my first question to you is, and if you could not afford an attorney, one would be appointed. So my first question to you is, do you plan to hire an attorney, represent yourself, or request the appointment of an attorney?
I will go with the appointed attorney.
All right, the court will make a referral to the public defender's office for the appointment of an attorney. Ms. O'Mara, have you had the opportunity to discuss with him plans moving forward?
Yes, Your Honor. It was our plan to plead guilty with explanation today, if possible.
Any objection to that, Mr. Carnes?
No, Your Honor.
Sir, is that your understanding that you intended to plead guilty today?
Yes, sir. Yes, Your
All
Honor.
right, will you please raise your right hand? Do you solemnly swear or affirm the testimony you give in this matter will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, Your Honor.
Is it true that back in July of 2023, you were on probation?
Yes.
To the allegations that we just went through, so we'll go through them one by one again, that you failed to test positive for alcohol on that you tested positive for alcohol on July 19th, 2023 with a BAC of a 0.016 as reported by Michigan State Police. How do you plead?
Guilty.
That you failed to test on July 24th, 2023. How do you plead?
Guilty.
That you failed to test on July 25th, 2023. How do you plead?
Guilty.
That you failed to test on July 26th, 2023. How do you plead?
Guilty.
That you failed to comply with testing requirements by not checking in. How do you plead?
Guilty.
And that you failed to report as directed on July 25th, 2023. How do you plead?
Guilty.
And that you failed to provide verification of counseling completion. How do you plead?
I did complete the counseling.
Did you provide verification of that?
That was the only thing that I read that was off to me, because I did complete all of it. They sent the paperwork in. I'm not sure why that one pops up, but I did complete all of my proper counseling.
Mr. Carnes?
I'm fine with dismissing that allegation.
Ms. O'Mara, I assume you're okay with that?
Yeah, no.
All right, then on motion of the prosecution, that last charge will be dismissed. Sir, in order to accept that plea, I must have you tell me what it is that makes you guilty. So back on July 19th of 23, you were on probation with this court. Is that correct?
Yes.
And did you have some sort of run-in with law enforcement, Michigan State Police?
Yes, we were in the UP doing a.
Hold on. hold on, we have a process we have to go through, so let's just bear with me, okay? And did you have a bodily alcohol content of a 0.016 at that meeting
Yes,
with
I did.
police? And you knew you were not to consume alcohol?
Correct.
And on July 24th of 23, July 25th of 23, and July 26th of 23, were you supposed to test on those days?
Yes, Your Honor.
And did you fail to test?
Yes.
Did you know you were supposed to test on those days?
Yes.
All right. And did you not check in on those days?
I did not.
And is it also true that you failed to report on July 25th
Yes.
of 23?
Yes.
Do counsel believe that the defendants provided a factual basis to accept the plea and the court rules have been complied with?
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes.
As does the court, I find the plea is knowing, voluntary, and accurate. By my count, that brings us up to, with the 3 previously. I believe that brings us up to 8 violations. I'm counting the 2 from 725 as one and the same. Counsel agree with that?
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes.
All right. Ms. Bismack, do you have a recommendation for us?
Well, Your Honor, due to him being MIA for the last 2 years and not being compliant with probation, we would recommend a jail sentence of 93 days. Probation.
Thank you. Ms. O'Mara?
Your Honor, this is a situation where I believe that, he stopped showing up at one point and then it just sort of spiraled a little bit for him. And he has made significant improvements in his life since the time of that arrest. He is working, he owns a business in Cadillac called Cadillac Exteriors. He has a few employees. They are unable to work because he needs to pay bills and such. So a 93-day jail sentence would mean some other people lose their jobs too. There's some unintended consequences. He is a 5-year-old child who is not biologically his, but who he takes care of with his girlfriend who is pregnant. He lives here in Cadillac. I believe, is a good candidate for a second chance at probation. It's been a couple years. I think he's in a different spot in his life. Even the 10-day sentence would cause that business to shut down, or it'd be in significant strain. I don't know necessarily that it would shut down, but I will say I would request a continuation of probation to give it another chance. Thank you.
Mr. Carnes?
Thank you, Your Honor. Given the 2-year gap we have here, I think the 93-day jail sentence.
Thank you. Sir, you had the right to address the court prior to sentencing. Is there anything you would like me to know?
I'm not a bad guy. I did come into a problem and I was too scared to report back to probation. But all I do is go to work and go home. I've got a business. It's running well. I finally had some traction here in Cadillac, made a home for myself. I've got an apartment here. I've got an office here. I've got employees here. Everybody lives in Cadillac. I mean, I'm doing everything in my power to be a very good person. I don't want to see all of that fail. And if I'm away from this, it's all going to go. It's all going to go. And I don't want to see that happen. I've got a very good business. I've got jobs in progress. We're working on a Pizza Plus project right now. I've got a lot of jobs moving around. I'd like to stay and continue to work, and I'd go do any kind of probation. I'd take your hardest probation. I guarantee I don't have a problem with that. I'll report any day. I'll take a tether. I'll do any of the probations. I just don't want to see everything crumble.
What brought you to the attention of law enforcement back on August 31st?
There was an argument with my brother and his girlfriend. The police showed up and asked for IDs, and I gave them mine, and that's what brought me here. I was just
And that was in
visiting with
Ross,
family.
that was in Roscommon County, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, Your Honor.
So when you say all you do is go to work and go to home, that's not necessarily accurate. You are living a life other than work and home.
That was visiting with my parents live over there. My brother lives over there. It was just visiting family.
All right. Well, as previously noted, this is not the defendant's first violations. Back on April 5th, 2023, my predecessor, Judge Van Altz, found him guilty of 3 prior technical violations of failed to report, failed to test, and failed to attend the alcohol highway safety education class. And then just not even 3 months later, the violations that we're here for today, I guess it is 3 months, that we're here for today of more failing to tests and bring us back. And then not only did he not comply, but he decided that despite living here in town, it was best to evade his responsibilities and to evade probation for 2 years. The crazy part is that he just done what he was supposed to have done. He'd been off probation by now. The court took a chance at the time of sentencing back on November 15th of 22. It took another chance in April of 23 with the violation. And now it's being asked to take another chance some 2 years later after having absconded from probation. And that's a chance that I'm not willing to take. The defendant he pled guilty to not operating while visibly impaired. Mr. Carnes, can you shed a little light on what the underlying offense entailed?
He was stopped for having no license plate, given sobriety tests, and then the data master gives a 0.1 at the jail.
0.11?
No, 0.1 and 0.1.
Oh, 0.1 and 0.1. Okay, both tests were a 0.1.
Both tests, yeah.
Okay. All right. I find that the defendant is no longer a good candidate for probation, so the court is going to terminate probation as unsuccessful. He's got 5 days credit. It'll be 30 days jail. With 5 days credit. I find the sentence for the probation violation is reasonable and proportionate. Given that the defendant's underlying offense involved alcohol at a 0.1, and then the fact that he's absconded from probation after his second violation for more than 2 years. Is there anything else in the judgment of sentence, Mr. Carnes?
No, Your Honor.
Ms. Adjomera?
No, Your Honor.
Right. Thank you. Next arraignment.
All right, let's talk about that. This probation violation hearing in front of Judge Corey J. Wiggins had a little bit of everything. Multiple missed tests, old violations resurfacing, a defendant trying to hold on to a business and family stability, and a judge who made it crystal clear that second chances only go so far. Wiggins's demeanor was steady and professional throughout. Firm, patient, but not buying into excuses. He listened carefully, let both sides make their pitch, and then laid down a sentence that reflected both the record and the reality. Ndaunt, Justin Massarcheck admitted up front to the violations, testing positive for alcohol, failing 3 tests in a row, skipping check-ins, and missing a reporting date. His body language and tone were subdued, but earnest. He emphasized his business, Cadillac Exteriors, the employees who depended on him, his young child, and his pregnant partner. When given the chance to address the court, he leaned hard into the plea for another shot at probation, promising he'd accept any conditions, tether, hardest probation, anything, just to avoid jail and keep his life from crumbling. It was a sincere pitch, but his record told a different story. Defense O'Mara echoed that theme. She pointed to his progress since the original violations: steady work, building a home in Cadillac, providing for a family. Her argument was less about denying the violations and more about the collateral damage jail time would cause. The prosecutor, Mr. Carnes, took the opposite view. He reminded the court that this wasn't Massarcheck's first time violating. There had already been 3 technical violations in April 2023, and instead of correcting course, he absconded from probation for 2 years. From his perspective, a full 93 days in jail was the only reasonable outcome. The probation officer backed that up, noting the long gap in compliance and the pattern of missed obligations. Judge Wiggins delivered the tough news. He acknowledged Massarcheck's progress, but emphasized the history. Probation had already bent twice, and instead of straightening up, the defendant ran. Wiggins even noted the irony. If Massarcheck had simply followed through, he'd likely be off probation by now. Instead, 2 years of evasion brought him back to face the music. With that, the judge ended probation as unsuccessful and sentenced him to 30 days in jail, with 5 days credit for time already served. It wasn't the full 93 days the prosecution wanted, but it was far from the second chance the defense had hoped for. The overall atmosphere was calm. Massarcheck came across as genuinely remorseful, but remorse alone wasn't enough to erase a history of missed opportunities. The attorneys were professional, with O'Mara making the strongest possible case for leniency and Carnes pushing firmly for accountability. Wiggins' style tied it all together, measured, deliberate, and unwilling to ignore the past just because the present looked better. If you found this hearing insightful, consider subscribing, hitting the bell, and letting me know your thoughts in the comments below. I read every one,